everyone. Today our group will be discussing the state of the Philadelphia public school system and ways in which we can address inequities that limit the academic achievement of low-income minority students who attend district schools. Before we propose our idea, we wanted to share a few statistics in order to share background information about the district.
All right, so let's start with some context. The Philadelphia Public Schools serve about 203,000 students in 326 schools. Of those students, 52% are Black, 21% are Hispanic, and 40% fall below the federal poverty line. Now, Philadelphia is the poorest large city in America, and many students rely on their school for necessities like food, transportation, health services, and trauma support. But despite these increased needs, the district is severely underfunded. And in 2019, there were only 322 counselors to serve about 127,000 high school students. It comes as no surprise then that only 54% of students enroll in college after graduation.
So really what our main problem boils down to is that there's a widespread lack of support for students in the college application process, and that low-income and minority students are hit the hardest by this issue. Thus, these kids are less likely to pursue higher education, worsening the existing gaps based on class and race that exist in America. And now we'll dive into how we determined the root of this problem to be a lack of support, starting with the main reasons why students don't enroll in college in the first place. So one, college lists. Students really aren't given the opportunity to explore different colleges that fit their needs. Schools currently today don't really supply that many resources on helping students to find the colleges that best fit what they want based on location, financial aid, majors, and counselors really aren't giving that support to their students. So students aren't aware of all of the opportunities of colleges that they have. Two, financial aid. Too many students aren't aware of the scholarships and other forms of financial aid that are available to them, making it difficult for them to attend college without generating a great amount of debt that they probably wouldn't be able to overcome later on in life. And then three, need priorities. Counselors are spending more of their time dealing with other important school issues like mental health and bullying, leaving less time for individualized assistance in the college application process. So it really comes down to a lack of support and awareness about the college application process, which is where we come in. So now Gena is going to talk about the 5 whys and where we really pinpoint this issue and plan to intervene in our program.
The issue of low college enrollment across Philadelphia schools is not an issue caused by one factor. Rather, it is caused by a series of factors that directly influence each other. For example, the root cause can be attributed to an unequal tax revenue system that determines school funding based on property taxes. As a result, funding is improperly allocated across schools, and the schools with less funding can't afford to hire more counselors. Since there are not enough counselors to effectively support students, especially low-income minority students, many students are unaware of how the college application process works. So with that lack of support, many students may just resort to simply not applying to college in the first place. For our final project, we proposed the creation of an organization called Strive 215. Strive 215 is a first step towards increasing college outcomes for Philadelphia students. Next slide, please. Thank you. So Strive 215 is an organization dedicated to working with school counselors and administrators in the school district of Philadelphia in order to support low-income and minority students throughout the college preparation and application process. We strive to create an organization that has a threefold mission. First, to serve. We want to increase the representation of low-income and minority students who graduate Philadelphia schools and attend college. The second factor, support. We want to provide supplemental college support with our efforts to work with counselors and with families so that students really feel like they are supported throughout the entire college application process. The third factor is we want to sustain. We want to provide students with a framework to refer to when they are working independently, and we want this to be a program that continues to influence the lives of students afterwards. Our reform advances equity by reducing disparities in college preparedness and acceptance among low-income minority students attending schools in the School District of Philadelphia. By increasing the amount of FGLI students who attend college, we are taking a step forward in breaking the cycle of poverty while improving life outcomes for Philadelphia youth and their families. Along with advancing equity, we carefully considered factors of educational excellence when creating Strive 2 and 5. According to the U.S. Department of Education, pursuing post-secondary education increases future income potential while lowering unemployment rates. Although there are various definitions for academic excellence, we define excellence by the percentage of students who graduate high school, along with the percentage of students who are accepted to and matriculate into post-secondary education programs, such as college/university. Our reform advances excellence by increasing the percentage of low-income minority students who apply to and enroll in a post-secondary education program.
All right, so before we can expand this program, we have to pilot it. And in particular, we want to pilot Strive 215 at Northeast High School, which is a large, comprehensive public school with a diverse student body. The total minority enrollment at Northeast is 82%, and 100% of students are economically disadvantaged. Now, we chose Northeast in particular because it's ranked 18th out of 55 high schools in the district, which puts it just slightly above the mean for Philadelphia. But despite being in the top half of schools for Philadelphia, only about 60% of students attend college, and of those students, less than half make it to graduation. Each counselor has a caseload of 800 students, and we hear from Andrew Dunican, who is the lead of 5 counselors at the school, in the next slide. So he says, quote, "There's so much less handholding at our school. The way it's structured right now with the number of counselors we have now at the school, there's just no way you could meet all of the needs." So piloting Strive 215 at Northeast High School would help us build rapport with other schools in the district and test the efficacy of our model before expansion.
So first, we know that a big issue with applying to colleges today is that oftentimes it's too little too late for the students. Getting to senior year can be really stressful and busy. So we think introducing the process of applying to juniors would better set up students for success than trying to squeeze everything into 12th grade, which is what happens with a lot of kids today anyway. So this includes helping them choose colleges to apply to, introducing financial aid and essays. So really encouraging students to begin the essay writing process in the summer after junior year and to give them examples of what essays to write and helping them work through the different prompts for different college applications. And then hopefully getting them started on teacher recommendations so they know how to properly reach out to teachers, which would hopefully spread out the requests for recommendations over a longer time frame rather than all at once. And then moving on to senior year, these would all help students be set up nicely for finalizing applications in their senior year. First, the students would wrap up their essays and apply for financial aid, having already received a great amount of background information on this during their junior year. And then we'd also keep them updated on deadlines for their college applications and financial aid, and to help them enter their information, so their family information, their activities and honors and personal information into the Common App. And then lastly, we'll follow up with these students to make sure they're ready for after high school once decisions have come out toward the end of the school year.
Our Strive 215 workshops will take place once a month for the entire school year. We chose to extend the program throughout the entire school year instead of the traditional model of having these programs during the fall and winter, because we really wanted to continue supporting seniors in their final college decision. Each 45-minute workshop will be taught by volunteer college students who will be trained on how to teach each workshop topic. While college students will be able to share their personal experiences during the workshop, all workshops will follow a clearly defined curriculum that utilizes resources from college access organizations such as the Fair Opportunity Project, the College Board, and Khan Academy, just to name a few. Some workshop topics include preparing for the SAT. During those topics, we'll talk about everything they need to know about how to take the SAT, what topics will be included on the SAT, and how to effectively prepare. We'll also discuss completing the FAFSA, completing the CSS profile, so students really feel like they are able to financially understand the college application process. Additionally, we'll talk about choosing the ideal college and how to succeed in college post-high school.
So the first reading we used in creating our reform is called Broad-Based Academic Supports for All Students by Kathleen Lynch and Heather Hill. So three really pertinent quotes from this reading that we really kept in mind when we were making our proposal is first, in order to move students through grade level content, schools will need to lean heavily on tiered strategies that include broad-based supports for all students and intensive intervention for the students who have felt the pandemic's impacts most directly. And then fall delays or shutdowns may widen income and race/ethnicity gaps, and then targeted support strategies for families such as take-home books, text messages, and family involvement programs can effectively supplement in-school curriculum. So what this reading really told us is it put this issue in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, and this reading really told us that these racial and class divides that exist today are only going to get worse during the pandemic and while students are at home, because certain students don't have resources when they're at home, especially low income and minority students. And so we really think that our program will be effective in a post-COVID era to kind of address these worsening issues that have been taking place over the past few months.
Okay, great. So let's look at our logic model. So this is our logic model, and I'm not going to read all of it, but I do want to highlight some key elements of our plan, starting with inputs, activities, and outputs. So first of all, we place a lot of importance on understanding the context in which we're working. So before we arrive at a school, we want to gather information about the school's performance, but also about its environment and its culture to share with our undergraduate volunteers. We also plan to have our volunteers work very closely with the counselors that are there to identify areas where our program can be helpful. Now, this is an essential part of our model for two reasons. First, we want to avoid redundant information and maximize the utility of each workshop. But second, we want to show respect to the counselors who know the school better than we do. The way for a reform to be well received by students is for you to really try to get to know them. And so we've really tried to make this a part of our program. Now, workshops are going to begin at Northeast High School, but eventually we want to expand them to other district schools prioritized by need, such as South Philly High and Palumbo Academy. So let's talk about outcomes. So in the short term, we will provide a supplemental resource that reaches students directly. We also hope to benefit the students who might not otherwise be involved in college preparatory programs. And we do this by eliminating a parental involvement and holding workshops during the school day. We also hope to recruit primarily first generation and minority undergraduates to provide representation for the students that we're serving. And finally, Strive 2 and 5 aims to reduce the workload for overburdened counselors, ensure proper financial aid for high school students, and boost college enrollment throughout the district. All right, so let's look at some counter arguments. Now, some might say that Strive 2 and 5 is a temporary and unsustainable solution because the real crisis is funding, but it seems on the surface that our workshops do not directly address district policy. It could also be argued that sidestepping family engagement does more harm than good, and that our program is no different than any of the other well-intentioned but ultimately ineffective nonprofits that intervene in poor urban schools. So let's address these limitations. First, Strive 2 and 5 does have policy goals. Of course, our primary objective is to provide additional support to high school students. But if our workshops are helpful, it will demonstrate the effectiveness of targeted college assistance. This will, we hope, put pressure on the district to allocate more resources to college preparation and perhaps even hire more counselors. Second, Strive 2 and 5 increases family engagement by building parents' confidence in schools. If parents have no trust in the school's ability to prepare their child for the future, they won't go out of their way to become more involved in what they see as a failing system. And third, Strive 2 and 5 is unique in its accessibility. Most college preparatory programs rely on parents to apply, enroll, and transport their children during work time. Strive 2 and 5 reduces the burden on families and, in so doing, reaches students who might not otherwise receive external support.
So the second reading we really wanted to touch on in our proposal is by expert Karen Mapp, who we heard from in Gen Ed 1076. And this reading was called Effective Family Engagement Starts with Trust. So we really wanted to run with this idea that Amanda put in the last slide about addressing that limitation, where we really want to focus on creating that partnership between the schools and the families. So two important quotes from this reading were, one of the things that many people said and is actually borne out through the research is that the relationship, the development of relational trust between home and school, is key for any other partnership work to actually take place. And also that family and community engagement should be embedded so it becomes everybody's job. So essentially what we took away from this is that family engagement is crucial to any and every aspect of schooling, and creating a trusting partnership helps to foster a successful relationship between the school and the family in raising and educating children and students. So now, applying this to our proposal, it's crucial to consider the great benefit that comes out of a strong school-family partnership. Through our relationship with the school, the program will hopefully inform families of the program as it's going on, which we believe will relieve a great deal of stress from families about their students' college applications. This process will help foster a trusting relationship between families and the school, where families are aware of what opportunities and resources are being provided to their student, and to simply even know that the school is looking out for the future of its students, even if it's just by enabling our program to take place. Lastly, as discussed by Karen Mapp in the reading, this trust will help students succeed in the long run, improving college outcomes as the student body has more support both in school and at home.
We also want to note that in addition to informing families, we are planning to send out curriculum resources that we utilize in our workshops so that families can look at these resources on their own and they can feel as though they can better support students at home while they're applying throughout the college application process. We want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch our presentation. Strive 2 and 5 is really dedicated to improving educational outcomes for Philadelphia youth, and we hope that this proposal will be a first step forward to addressing those inequities. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.